Imagine a place where turning 100 isn't a medical miracle, but a common milestone. Right now, Japan is home to over 90,000 people living past a century, a population of centenarians larger per capita than anywhere else on Earth. It's a staggering figure, especially when you compare it to the reality we face every day. We pour billions of dollars into high-tech gym memberships, designer supplements, and the latest fitness apps, all in a desperate chase for that same longevity. Yet, for many people over 50, the result isn't vitality, it's a frustrating struggle with chronic joint pain, stiff knees, and a creeping sense of brain fog that no amount of trendy biohacking seems to solve. It leads us to a vital question: what are they doing differently? It isn't just a matter of eating more sushi or possessing good genes. When researchers turned their focus to Japan's oldest, most vibrant citizens, people in their 100s who are still sharp, mobile, and fully independent, they stumbled upon something completely unexpected. The secret wasn't found in a grueling workout or a restrictive lifestyle. Instead, it was hiding in 6 simple, daily movements. These habits were once dismissed by Western doctors as far too basic to matter, until modern brain scans and joint imaging told a very different story. One of these movements, practiced for just 2 minutes a day, has been linked to a remarkable 7-year increase in lifespan. If you're ready to discover how to age with the clarity, balance, and strength of a Japanese elder, without the pills, the gym gear, or even breaking a sweat, then it's time to return to the natural human movements your body was designed for. The morning light in Kyoto doesn't just shine, it filters, soft and intentional, through the cedar branches. Here, the act of movement isn't a race against a stopwatch or a battle with a treadmill. It is Sampo, the art of the stroll. In the frantic pace of the West, we have been conditioned to believe that a walk only counts if the heart hammers against the ribs and the brow drips with sweat. We walk to outrun our calories, yet we remain pursued by our stress. In Japan, the philosophy shifts. You are not walking to burn, you are walking to belong. The secret to this restorative movement lies in the rhythm of the lungs. To practice Sampo is to turn the body into a pendulum of physiological calm. As your feet find a steady, unhurried cadence on the pavement, you introduce the 2:2 for breathing rhythm. It is a simple, silent internal count that transforms a mundane commute into a neurological reset. Inhale for 2 steps, feeling the crisp air fill the base of the diaphragm. Hold that breath for the next 2 steps, allowing the oxygen to settle and the heart rate to steady. Then, release it, a slow, controlled exhale for 4 full steps. This extended exhale is the kill switch for the sympathetic nervous system. By making the breath out twice as long as the breath in, you signal to the brain that the hunt is over and the danger has passed. The physiological shift is profound. While high-intensity exercise can sometimes spike cortisol, this deliberate pacing works to reduce arterial stiffness, allowing blood to flow with less resistance. The vascular system softens. The brain fog that often clouds a mid-afternoon slump begins to dissipate, not through the jolt of caffeine, but through the consistent, rhythmic delivery of oxygenated blood to the prefrontal cortex. As you move through the world this way, the scenery changes. You begin to notice the moss clinging to the stone lanterns or the specific shade of a shifting cloud. The objective is no longer the destination or the digital tally of steps on a watch. The objective is the syncopation, the moment your stride, your breath, and your pulse become a single, fluid line of poetry. In the quiet power of the slow walk, you realize that the quickest way to heal the mind is to let the body take its time. At precisely 6:30 a.m., a familiar melody drifts through the air of neighborhood parks and city squares across Japan. It is a jaunty, rhythmic piano tune that has remained largely unchanged since 1928. This is the sound of Radio Taizo, a national ritual that proves you do not need an hour of heavy lifting to preserve the integrity of the human frame. For 3 minutes, the nation moves in unison, not to build muscle, but to prevent the rust of the modern sedentary life. While the Western world often views exercise as a struggle against gravity, Radio Taizo is a celebration of mobility. It consists of 13 gentle, specific movements designed to awaken the body's primary hinges. There is no gasping for air or straining of tendons. Instead, the movements are sweeping and circular. As arms arc toward the sky and the torso twists in a rhythmic sway, the body begins its own internal maintenance. The magic of these 3 minutes lies in the stimulation of synovial fluid. Think of this fluid as your body's natural joint oil, a viscous, life-giving liquid that resides within the gaps of your knees, hips, and shoulders. During long hours of stillness, this fluid can become stagnant, leaving the joints feeling brittle and creaky. By engaging in these 13 choreographed stretches, you act as a manual pump, circulating this fluid across the cartilage. It is a process of lubrication that keeps the bones from grinding and the fascia from tightening. As the music guides the practitioners through side bends and deep breaths, the chronic tension that settles in the lower back begins to dissolve. By moving the spine through its natural ranges of motion early in the day, the rust of sleep is scrubbed away. It is a democratic form of medicine, accessible to the schoolchild and the centenarian alike, premised on the belief that a body in motion stays fluid. By the time the piano melody fades, the nervous system is humming with a quiet energy. You haven't exhausted yourself, you have simply reminded your joints how to glide. In the quiet aftermath of the ritual, there is a sense of physical liberation. You are no longer a collection of stiff parts, but a well-oiled machine, ready to meet the day with a suppleness that belies your years. In the modern landscape of high-backed ergonomic chairs and plush sofas, we have unwittingly surrendered one of our most fundamental human birthrights, the deep squat. In much of the world, the chair is seen as a symbol of progress, yet in the quiet corners of rural Japan and across ancient cultures, the ground remains the primary destination. To sit in a chair is to invite the hips to lock and the lower back to round into a permanent curve of fatigue. To squat, however, is to reclaim the structural integrity of the entire body. The transition from a chair-bound life to one that incorporates the deep squat, often called the Malaysian squat, is less about exercise and more about returning to a natural state of rest. When you lower your center of gravity, keeping the heels firmly planted and the knees tracking over the toes, you initiate a profound decompression of the spine. The lumbar vertebrae, often crushed by the weight of a seated torso, are finally allowed to lengthen. It is a gentle, gravity-led traction that creates space where there was once only pressure. Beyond the spine, the deep squat serves as a powerful tonic for the pelvic floor and the deep stabilizers of the core. By holding this position for just 2 minutes a day, you engage a forgotten network of muscles that support the internal organs and maintain balance. This isn't merely about flexibility, it is about functional independence. The ability to lower oneself to the earth and rise again without assistance is perhaps the greatest predictor of long-term mobility. Statistical shadows suggest that maintaining this single capability can reduce the risk of needing assisted living by 70%, simply because a body that can squat is a body that can navigate the world with autonomy. At first, the position may feel foreign or even tight, a testament to the rust accumulated by years of sitting. But as you breathe into the tension, the hips begin to yield. The blood flow to the lower extremities improves, and the digestive system is gently compressed and massaged, aiding in natural elimination. It is a posture of humility and strength, a quiet rebellion against the sedentary cages we have built for ourselves. By returning to the earth for just a few moments each day, you aren't just stretching your muscles, you are lengthening your life. In the pursuit of health, we often fixate on the invisible markers, the numbers on a blood test or the steady tick of a heart rate monitor. We worry about cholesterol and blood pressure, yet we often overlook the most visible sign of a fading youth, the loss of balance. In the quiet corridors of Japanese longevity research, balance is not seen merely as a physical skill, but as a direct window into the health of the brain. To lose your equilibrium is to lose the conversation between your mind and your gravity-bound body. That one-legged stand is a deceptively simple ritual that serves as both a diagnostic tool and a powerful neurological tonic. To stand on one leg for 60 seconds is to demand an intense, coordinated symphony from the nervous system. As the small muscles in your ankle micro-adjust to keep you upright, a flood of sensory information travels up the spinal cord to the cerebellum and the prefrontal cortex. This isn't just a workout for the limbs, it is a construction project for the mind. Engaging in this 60-second balance test daily has been shown to stimulate the growth of gray matter. When the brain is challenged to maintain stability, it creates new neural pathways to process spatial awareness more efficiently. This cognitive padding does more than just sharpen the mind, it serves as a literal shield against the future. The leading cause of hospitalizations in the later years of life isn't a spike in cholesterol, but the sudden, catastrophic impact of a fall. By reclaiming your balance now, you are essentially foolproofing your future self, ensuring that your body remains a sturdy vessel rather than a fragile one. As you lift one foot from the floor, you might feel a slight wobble, a tremor of uncertainty. Do not fight it with tension. Instead, find a point of focus on the horizon and let your breath be the anchor. In those 60 seconds, you are recalibrating your relationship with the earth. You are teaching your brain that it can still command every fiber of your being with precision. It is a quiet, standing meditation that builds a fortress of stability, 1 second at a time. In the end, longevity isn't just about how long the heart beats, but about how steadily we can stand while it does. In the quiet choreography of a Japanese home, the floor is not a distant surface to be avoided, but a functional landscape for living. From the straw-matted tatami rooms to the low-slung tables of a traditional meal, the transition from standing to sitting, and back again, is a constant, rhythmic requirement of daily life. In the West, we have outsourced this movement to the mechanical height of chairs and sofas, unknowingly silencing a critical dialogue between our brain and our muscles. We have traded our agility for comfort, and in doing so, we have lost the most vital metric of our biological age. This is the no-hands test, a deceptively simple movement that serves as a profound neurological check. To lower yourself to the floor and rise again without the aid of a hand, a knee, or a furniture edge is to demonstrate a masterclass in motor planning. It requires the seamless integration of core stability, hip mobility, and the rapid-fire firing of the posterior chain. When you descend, your nervous system must calculate the precise distribution of weight. When you ascend, it must generate enough force to overcome gravity while maintaining a perfect center of gravity. The stakes of this movement extend far beyond the living room floor. Research into longevity suggests that the ability to complete this transition is one of the most accurate predictors of long-term mortality. It is not merely a test of leg strength, but a window into the reserve of the human body. A person who can move between levels with ease possesses a cardiovascular and musculoskeletal system that is resilient to the stresses of aging. To struggle with this transition is often a silent signal that the body's internal communication is fraying, that the map the brain uses to navigate the physical world is becoming blurred. Reclaiming this independence does not require a gym membership, it requires a return to the floor. By practicing this transition just a few times a day, you begin to retrain the stabilizers of the spine and the deep flexors of the hips. You are teaching your body that it does not need a crutch to navigate the world. As you rise upward, unassisted and steady, you aren't just standing up, you are asserting your autonomy over time itself. In the simple act of sitting down and getting back up, you find the ultimate metric of a life lived with strength and grace. In the quiet, lived-in kitchens and sun-drenched verandas of Okinawa, there is a simple object that holds a power far beyond its humble appearance, the tenyugai, a thin, hand-dyed cotton towel. While the world searches for longevity in expensive supplements and high-tech recovery tools, the centenarians of Japan have long practiced a rhythmic ritual known as tenyugai hibiki. It is a 2-minute towel twist that looks like child's play but acts as a profound neurological and structural recalibration. To watch an elder perform it is to see a body that refuses to surrender its fluidity to the passage of time. The practice begins with a simple grip. You hold the towel taut between both hands, arms extended, and begin a series of diagonal twists and figure-8 rotations. As you wring the fabric, you are doing more than just moving your wrists, you are engaging the deep stabilizer muscles of the rotator cuff and the intricate network of the forearms. These are the muscles that govern our grip strength, a metric so closely tied to heart health and systemic vitality that it is often called the sixth vital sign. By maintaining a powerful, functional grip, you send a signal of strength through the entire kinetic chain, from the fingertips to the heart. But the true secret of the towel twist lies in the cross-body coordination. As the hands move in opposing directions, crossing the midline of the body, the brain is forced into a state of high-level integration. The left and right hemispheres must communicate with lightning speed to synchronize the complex motor patterns. This bilateral activation acts as a spark plug for the brain, building a bridge of neural density across the corpus callosum. It is a form of cognitive armor that keeps the mind sharp and the motor planning precise, shielding the practitioner from the gradual decline of coordination. In the lore of Japan's blue zones, this daily 2-minute investment is whispered to add an average of 7 years to a life. Those years are not spent in frailty, but in continued engagement with the world. By keeping the stabilizers awake and the brain hemispheres in constant conversation, you prevent the physical and mental fragmentation that often accompanies aging. As the towel snaps and twists in the morning air, you are wringing out the stagnation of the night and pulling in a future of vibrant, coordinated independence. It is a reminder that the greatest secrets to a long life are often hidden in the simplest of motions, held right there in the palms of your hands. In the glossy pages of Western health magazines, the vocabulary of longevity is often one of conflict. We speak of fighting time, combating wrinkles, and the anti-aging protocols that treat the natural progression of life as a hostile invasion. This mindset creates a quiet, persistent tension in the nervous system, a friction that suggests we are constantly losing a battle we never asked to fight. But in the gardens of Okinawa and the quiet streets of Nagano, the language of the body is not one of resistance, it is one of flow. To the Japanese elder, the goal is not to stop the clock, but to move in harmony with its ticking. This is the fundamental shift from anti-aging to the natural movement. When you view exercise as a weapon against decay, the body remains braced, guarded, and rigid. But when movement is viewed as a natural expression of life, like the way a river shapes a stone, the internal architecture softens. You stop fighting the gravity that pulls at your skin and start using it to anchor your spirit. This shift in perspective changes the why behind every gesture. You do not squat to lower a mortality statistic, you squat so you can still reach the soil to plant your spring radishes. You do not practice the one-legged balance to avoid a hospital bed, you do it so you can stand steady while you watch the sunset over the Pacific. The metric of success is not a number on a scale or a decade added to a birth certificate, but the quality of the now. It is the difference between a life that is merely long and a life that is wide, deep, and vibrant. When you stop fighting, the cortisol that fuels the anti-aging panic begins to recede. You realize that the body is not a machine that wears out, but a garden that responds to how it is tended. By choosing to flow, by walking slowly, breathing deeply, and moving with the rhythmic grace of radio Taizo, you remove the friction that causes the most damage. You move because movement is the evidence of life, a joyous celebration of the here and the now. In this state of flow, the years no longer feel like something being taken away, but like a tapestry being woven, one smooth, intentional movement at a time. The true strength of the Japanese approach to longevity lies not in the perfection of the form, but in the wisdom of the adaptation. In a culture that values the slow, steady growth of the bonsai, there is a profound understanding that you cannot force a branch to bend before it is ready. To begin this journey of movement is to enter into a quiet, honest conversation with your own body, a dialogue that begins exactly where you are standing today, without judgment or apology. In the West, we are often told that pain is weakness leaving the body, a mantra that has led many to push through the very signals designed to protect them. But in the philosophy of natural movement, pain is not a hurdle, it is a clear, red stop sign. It is the body's way of saying that the current path is blocked. To ignore it is to invite the very rust we are trying to clear. Instead, we learn to use safety bookends, simple, everyday anchors that transform a challenge into a sustainable practice. If the one-legged balance feels like a storm at sea, you do not struggle in the middle of the room. You stand beside a sturdy kitchen countertop, letting a single finger rest on the surface as a stabilizer. This is not a sign of failure, it is a strategic bridge. By providing your nervous system with this safety bookend, you allow the deep stabilizer muscles to engage without the paralyzing spike of cortisol that comes from the fear of falling. Over time, as the brain maps the new stability, the finger lifts, and the balance becomes your own. The same grace is applied to the floor. If the deep squat or the sit-to-rise test feels out of reach, you bring the floor to you. A firm cushion or a folded yoga block becomes a temporary pedestal, reducing the distance the hips must travel. These tools are not crutches, they are invitations. They allow the joints to open at their own pace, honoring the history of every old injury or years of sedentary habits. By starting with these gentle adaptations, you remove the friction of ego. You realize that a movement done with ease and safety is infinitely more powerful than one done with strain and risk. You are building a foundation that will last for decades, not just a few weeks of intense effort. As you move through these daily rituals, supported by the world around you, you find that the green light for health is always found in the steady, pain-free flow of a body that feels safe enough to heal. The journey of 1,000 miles, as the old adage suggests, does not begin with a grand leap, but with the quiet placement of a single foot. We often imagine that a life of vitality requires a radical overhaul, a new identity, a grueling schedule, or an expensive transformation. Yet, the centenarians of the Blue Zones teach us a different truth. Longevity is not a mountain to be conquered, but a series of small, rhythmic ripples. It is found in the 1 minute you choose to stand on one leg while the kettle boils, or the 60 seconds you spend wringing a towel to wake up your mind. The wisdom of the Japanese approach lies in its humility. It invites you to stop looking at the horizon of someday and focus instead on the immediate now. You do not need to master the deep squat today, you only need to choose one movement that feels like an invitation rather than a chore. Perhaps it is the 2:2:4 breath as you walk to your car, or the gentle, 3-minute sway of Radio Taizo as the sun enters your room. That single choice is the catalyst, the first stone dropped into the still water of your daily routine. As that 1 minute becomes a habit, the nervous system begins to shift. The rust starts to thin, the breath begins to deepen, and the body remembers its natural desire for flow. You aren't just performing an exercise, you are casting a vote for the version of yourself that remains independent, sharp, and mobile 20 years from today. You are signaling to every cell in your body that you are no longer fighting the passage of time, but moving with it. So, as you stand at the threshold of this new understanding, do not feel the weight of the entire path ahead. Simply pick one movement. Let it be your anchor. Let it be the quiet promise you keep to yourself. This isn't about being perfect, it is about being present. By taking that first, small step, you are already reclaiming your birthright of vitality. The path to a long, wide life is open to you, and it starts with a single, intentional breath.